Welcome to Tom Myers versus the rest of the world. This is 2023 Best of and Unheard Bits. So far, Part 4. In this episode, you will hear some of our favorite moments, plus some bits that didn't quite make the initial airing. Joining me tonight are Jeff Hyson, Gina Brown, Polite Kitty, Michelle Wojciechowski, Chip Jones, Lucy Strassball, David Kay, Jess Feeney, Alexa Shudo, Lynn Dilmani, and Jamie Black. A lot's happened since last week. Jim Jordan has been denied Speaker of the House for yet another round. It's hard to know who's yelled no at Jim Jordan more, House Republicans or his wrestling students. God. The only way Jim Jordan will get the Speaker's gavel will be if he gets one off of Etsy. In fact, if Jim Jordan tried to win a Speaker's gavel from one of those claw machines, the claw inside the machine would transform itself and give Jim Jordan the middle finger. Jim Jordan is basically the comic who keeps showing up at the New York City Club despite not having met his bringer requirement. That's for the back of the room. And all my Spotify listeners, basically. The fact that Republicans have trouble choosing one of their own to be Speaker of the House indicates one thing. They're finally in touch with American voters. The campaign for the position of Speaker has gone from Kevin McCarthy to Steve Scalise to Jim Jordan to Tom Emmer. Now that he's dropped out, it'll probably go to Byron Donalds, Matt Gaetz. It's basically like playing hot potato, except when the music stops, the potato explodes to reveal that it is filled with loose fecal matter. Three of Donald Trump's attorneys, Sidney Powell, Kenneth Chesebro, and Jenna Ellis, pled guilty in the Georgia 2020 election interference case. It's fitting to know that they showed the same loyalty to Trump that Trump showed when he said he would join his supporters at the Capitol. After Sidney Powell's plea deal was set, Chesebro was set to be the only defendant to go to trial in Atlanta this week before he decided to plead out. In addition to Trump, no one is more disappointed about this than the tabloid papers who just missed out on the headline, "The Cheese Stands Alone." That's the cleanest joke you're going to hear all season, so if you didn't like that, tough shit. A lot's happened since we've been on the air last. Donald Trump testified in court this week in his New York civil fraud trial. The judge accused him of campaigning from the witness stand when he was supposed to be answering questions. It must have been a surreal scene. Trump campaigning in a room with no Confederate flags or Nazi insignia. There were still signs of racism and white supremacy in the courtroom, as the justice system still requires that police officers be stationed there. Oh. Mike Johnson is the new Speaker of the House. If the Republicans wanted to elect someone unassuming for the office, they've managed to do it. Mike Johnson looks like the type of person who would have to show ID before he's allowed at Christmas dinner. Mike Johnson is the type of person who, if you took a photo with him, then when you look at the photo, it would be difficult to tell whether it's really Mike Johnson or a cardboard cutout. Yeah. Now that he's Speaker, he's going to have to negotiate things with the White House and with the Senate. He's going to have to negotiate aid for Ukraine and Israel and keep the government from shutting down. He's so conservative. He'll be there with Biden, Schumer, Hakeem Jeffries, even Mitch McConnell. They'll be trying to find solutions to these problems. And Mike Johnson will be going, now, before we agree to any terms, let's solve this pressing issue of playing video games on the Lord's Day. The Republicans elected a speaker who is so religious that he can't even say he has a mandate, because if one House Republican utters the word mandate, they'll be sent to Jesus camp. And just when they had gotten used to using it, only when they were sure Lauren Boebert had left the room. No. Well, the Supreme Court issued new guidelines and a code of ethics, of which the justices themselves will hold themselves accountable. That's not a code of ethics if they aren't going to be enforcing them. That would be like telling a child who is obsessed with setting fires not to play with a lighter before giving him a 5-pack of lighters for his birthday. That's like O.J. Simpson announcing he's getting married again. It's a bit like giving Bill Cosby a gift certificate for a speed dating service.
Oh.
It's a bit like Harvey Weinstein saying he's going to cast a reboot of Charlie's Angels. It would be like a president of the United States appointing members of his cabinet from the pool of commenters on Reddit forums. Again. South Carolina Senator Tim Scott dropped out of the presidential race owing to the fact that he wasn't going to get any support from conservatives whose opinion of black people hasn't changed since Reconstruction. It would have been awkward having Tim Scott be the president of the United States. Imagine a president of the United States getting pulled over by his own Secret Service detail. Jacob Chansley, the January 6th defendant, known as the QAnon shaman, is running for Congress in Arizona. Finally, someone who will make John Fetterman look dressy. It's going to be hard to explain to your constituents that you're missing votes because you're currently being traded by your cellmate for cigarettes. He's reportedly since renounced the QAnon conspiracy theories, so now he's known simply as the prison butt sex shaman. The SAG-AFTRA strike has been resolved and actors can go back to work, except for Vin Diesel. Nobody will know the difference. Joe Biden celebrated his 81st birthday. He made several jokes about his age. Of course, he had to clean them up a bit for the White House press corps, so as a result, he didn't tell dad jokes, but great-granddad jokes. And that's the only dad joke I'm telling this whole season, I promise. Biden's age became a bit of an issue online when, during the annual Thanksgiving turkey pardoning, he confused Britney Spears with Taylor Swift. I'm only 40, but I find that easy to do as I've masturbated to both.
Oh.
I figure that makes up for the one dad joke that I'll do all season. A car exploded on the Rainbow Bridge at the Canadian border near Niagara Falls. It's almost as if someone said they wanted to go over the falls in a barrel and someone else said, "Here, hold my Molsons and watch this." Investigators said there was no sign of terrorism, but that, of course, didn't stop Fox from trying to push the theory. It boggles my mind how they can even report these kinds of things with a straight face. Canada is becoming a haven for terrorism. It starts with us importing Alex Trebek, Jim Carrey, and the kids in the hall. That's how they soften us up. Now they're going after our Rainbow Bridge. Tomorrow it's the duty free. The Rolling Stones announced they will tour the U.S. next year and that the tour will be sponsored by AARP. In other news, Chris D'Elia will go on a tour next year and it will be sponsored by the National Sexual Assault Hotline. For years, the Republican Party was the party that stood by Israel and whoever was in charge, no matter who was prime minister. That, of course, changed, like most things, with Donald Trump, who feels no shame in publicly showing his disdain for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, as we can see in these two clips. The first from his time in the Oval Office, and the other just recently on the campaign trail.
Think Sleepy Joe could have made this deal, baby? Sleepy Joe. I think, do you think he would have made this deal somehow? I don't think so.
Well, Mr. President, one thing I can tell you is we appreciate the help for peace from anyone in America, and we appreciate what you've done enormously.
Yeah.
Room, we followed the whole thing, and about 15 seconds later, it was all over, and we did it. But I'll never forget that Bibi Netanyahu let us down. That was a very terrible thing, I will say that. And so when I see sometimes the intelligence, you talk about the intelligence, or you talk about some of the things that went wrong over the last week, they've got to straighten it out because they're fighting potentially a very big force. They're fighting potentially Iran. And when they have people saying the wrong things, everything they say is being digested by these people because they're vicious and they're smart. And boy, are they vicious, because nobody's ever seen the kind of sight that we've seen. Nobody's ever seen it. but they cannot play games. So we were disappointed by that, very disappointed, but we did the job ourselves, and it was absolute precision, magnificent, beautiful job. And then Bibi tried to take credit for it. That wasn't good. That didn't make me feel too good, but that's all right. So they got to strengthen themselves up.
I like how in the first clip, Trump made that Sleepy Joe moniker. And then, ironically enough, in the next clip, he's the one who sounds like he's staving off death, like he's trying to put off a loan payment.
With all MAGA people, anything they say about anyone else is always projection of what and who they are. Always. You can take that.
And it could change with the wind. It's like
he sounded like his Ambien was kicking in.
It's so hard to follow because it's like those people and they and we did a wonderful and it's magnificent. He never really he never finishes like a thought or a sentence fully. And so I can't really ever follow.
In 2 days, President Biden was able to leave Washington for Israel, meet with Netanyahu and the government officials there, and return to Washington to make a nationally televised speech that evening. Despite that, there is criticism that his age and the fact that he is physically stumbled is a sign that he is not up for the job. One of those critiques comes from Alabama Senator Tommy Tuberville, who has been coaching football for so long he started apparently before they have helmets, as anyone who has heard his speeches can attest. He later gets his comeuppance, as we can see in this clip.
I don't believe in karma. I guess I believe in odds. And statistically, people fall downstairs at some rate. And it might be that you are a person who someday falls down the stairs. And if you're a public figure, you might fall down the stairs when there is a camera on. And if you are a public figure who has criticized Joe Biden for falling, there is some chance you will be someone who, after criticizing Biden for falling, fall on camera yourself. And that's exactly what happened to Tommy Tuberville. He is a Republican senator. He went after Biden for falling. He mocked Biden. Salon Reports clip of Tommy Tuberville falling downstairs elicits reminders of all the times he mocked Biden. Known to crack jokes about Biden's various spills, Tuberville's own was quick to be called out. Here's the video. Arriving on a Miami Air, I guess this is some kind of charter jet, I don't know. Here's Tommy Tuberville. He's 69 years old. Remember, Biden's 80. Bringing his luggage down the stairs. The luggage does look too heavy. And then he just goes down. And, the video is actually, he didn't get hurt, apparently. I don't like making fun of people getting hurt. He apparently didn't get hurt from what we know. The visual comedy element can't be ignored. And it's sort of almost cartoonish the way he goes down the stairs and is holding on to the railings. And it's visually, it's really something else. So listen, I don't believe in karma. I believe in odds. And if you're going to criticize someone else for falling, humans fall, and you might be the human who falls. This is not nearly as serious as Tommy Tuberville blocking military appointments for political reasons that cripple the United States because he disagrees with what most people believe about abortion. This is not nearly as serious as any of those things, but it is certainly an interesting thing to see.
But we've had football athletes, all Americans. I mean, if you look back, SNL made their bones doing Gerald Ford when he missed that one step. Gerald Ford was an elite All-American athlete, and the one time he falls, and some argue that's why he was not reelected, is that he was so characterized as being a buffoon from falling down the stairs that he didn't win a second term.
It's not often that a network like Fox allows dissenting views from a major political figure on live television, which makes this exchange between Sean Hannity and California Governor Gavin Newsom noteworthy.
Energy independent.
By the way, we're more energy
75 years.
We are more energy dependent today. Look that up. It's a fact. And if you no, it's just factually untrue.
Joe Biden is unilaterally disarmed.
I encourage the people watching. Look this up. 5.94 quads. Google 9.5.
Look at all the restrictions Joe Biden has put on
we are more
oil
energy
and gas companies.
Independent today under Biden. Pence doesn't know that. Your audience doesn't know that. More domestic oil production than any time in history. We're on pace this year. That's a fact. You guys keep making that up.
No, we don't make it up.
You're making it up.
We're energy independent, and now we're not.
We are energy independent.
No, we're not.
Net energy
No,
exporters.
we are not.
Sean, this is going to be so much fun when this gets PolitiFact tomorrow.
Anwar, go there. Look at all the other restrictions.
5.94 quads. That's the margin. It's the highest margin of net energy export in America's history under the Biden administration.
Right. I did have a little fun, and for once you actually got back
By the
to
way,
me.
I can't wait for PolitiFact tomorrow. There's going to be some fun.
PolitiFact. Why don't you go to the?
I want you to
Why don't
show
you go
your
to the
audience.
Washington Post fact checker? Who needs to be
4
fact checked.
Pinocchios then coming your way.
You get 4 Pinocchios your way. All right.
I mean, I think like the Democrats can really use more people like Gavin Newsom because he goes on like shows on Fox, and has even opened up an account on Truth Social. That was Donald Trump's answer to Twitter. He has an account on there, and he just trolls all of the posts on that site, and like he's not afraid to step into the lion's den. Says I in my own safe corner here on Zoom.
Well, you do have to push back, and yeah, we definitely as the Democratic Party we have I agree with when they go low, we go high. But you know what? If you really want to get into the trenches, you really have to push back at what the right is saying. I personally started and Tom, you know this. I started the expel Scott Perry, who was our Pennsylvania's 10th district representative in Congress. For his trying to decertify Pennsylvanians' Pennsylvanian votes in the ballot in 2020, and one of the things that we decided to do was on my Facebook page is when Republicans and naysayers troll us, I allow them to troll, and then I just say, rather than troll us, why don't we just discuss this and you find out what the facts are from us, and you try to and I try to turn them. I mean, it's what we have to do. People are just when people try not to when we don't communicate to each other, we're just letting them get more angry and believe the lies that they're being told by the MAGA people.
Tired of relying on cable news networks and pundits to tell you what to think? Me too. So let's delve into the dumpster fire of what was once known as Twitter and see what a new Elon Musk-backed site promotes as political analysis from none other than O.J. Simpson.
Hey, X-World, yours truly. Unfortunately, I'm going to talk about politics right now, about the debate last night. As I said before, I think everybody should be watching all of these debates. You should know who believes that they're capable of being the president of the United States. Well, last night, I got to admit, I was surprised by Nikki Haley. She showed a little fire, and for the most part, I agreed with just about everything she said. And so once again, I think she won as far as I was concerned. Pence was a little bit of a surprise. Like most Americans, I appreciate that he did the right thing on the 6th. But I'm a Christian, just like he's a Christian. And I think you're supposed to be able to separate church from state. Somehow I don't believe that he'll be able to do that.
Like, he's criticizing someone for not being able to separate church and state. Like, he couldn't separate between marriage and domestic violence.
Yeah, how about separating your wife's head from her body?
He's a Christian? What? I'm so
listen. All you have to do to be a Christian is say you're one. That's literally
true.
that's the one requirement. Same with Mike Johnson. He's like, "Oh, I believe in the Bible." Really? Okay.
I mean, and they kill people in the Bible. So, I mean, from that perspective, he's no different from any other.
Yeah.
right?
Let's all grow beards and beat our wives. Cheers.
I can't believe the juice is trying to become a political pundit. It's ridiculous.
He's a Haley supporter too. Like,
oh my God.
Like,
he went the sensible conservative route.
Like if I'm Nikki Haley and like OJ Simpson says I'm full of fire, the last woman he liked, he murdered.
Yeah.
Yeah. He likes her until Nikki Haley picks a young, attractive vice presidential candidate.
Right.
And then he's gonna sneak into her bushes and chop her head off.
Good Lord. I love like how we're like, oh my God, OJ supporting a woman. Like what an ally.
He's not supporting one, he's just picking his next victim.
Yeah, true.
Wow. Thanks, Tom. Thanks.
That's enlightening. That really is.
I have to know that now.
Wow. I provide a public service.
Yeah.
That's really all I do.
With that one.
One of the most vocal critics of children deciding what they want to read in schools themselves is Louisiana Senator John Kennedy, who sounds like President John Kennedy if, instead of being shot, he huffed wasp spray every day for 20 years. In this clip, during a Senate hearing, we can hear him reading a very cringeworthy excerpt of an alleged controversial book.
I confess I'm a little confused, and I appreciate the argument or discussion that we've been having, but for me, it's a little too conceptual or, I don't know, metaphysical or theological or whatever you want to call it. I want to try to understand what you're asking us to do. The second is another much discussed book. I'm sure you're familiar with it. It's called Genderqueer. Okay. Let me read an excerpt from that. Quote, I got a new strap-on harness today. I can't wait to put it on you. It will fit my favorite dildo perfectly. You're going to look so hot. I can't wait to have your cock in my mouth. I'm going to give you the blowjob of your life. Then I want you inside of me. End quote.
That video made my penis commit suicide.
But when's he going to start reading from the book?
Just sounded like a diary excerpt. Yeah. That's what it is. Actually, give me 30 seconds.
Oh no.
I hope she's getting the book.
If not, I will be very, very upset that this is an audio-only podcast.
They passed that book around at Moms for Liberty in Baltimore. As far as I know, I'm not saying they do.
I loved all of the words that he used at the beginning. That was CAL, geological, geometrical, whatever you want to call it.
Like Kitty, what do you think his staff was doing when he said, I'm going to read out loud from the book? You think they told him it was a good idea?
Yes, because I
think they said, I could have gotten a job at Circle K and not faced this much humiliation.
All right, did we get a page number for that? I don't have the strap-on scene dog-eared or anything. I mean, I'm sure
my
they
book,
do. I bet
that
if
was
we
my
use their
copy, I
of
would.
it, there's post-it notes where all the gay sex is. Well, Senator Kennedy definitely did his homework with that one. He was up reading all night. Here's the thing. Okay, I've read this entire book, and I've only read it because of these idiots. If it weren't for Moms for Liberty and guys like that, and whoever else is presented this book out of context, I would not know who this author is. Well, this author is rich because of these Republicans.
And it's the same thing with the Supreme Court overturning Roe. It was, interestingly enough, this is for lack of a better term, it's the one thing that made people really wake up to it. And that's what got abortion rights codified into law in a state like Ohio and Mississippi and Kansas, of all places. You don't expect that thing to win in a state like Kansas.
Yeah, right. So I did actually just find the strap-on scene. It's on page 166 to 167. Spoilers. The next thing that happens is, the author and this other partner go through with this sexting fantasy. They do it. And then the author is like, wait, this is not at all what I expected it to be. Hey,
it never
can we
is,
stop?
to
Can
be
we do
fair.
something else? And then the other person's like, yeah, of course. And okay, one, I feel like that's actually objectively a really good message that you can just not want to and then call it off, and your partner should be like very accepting of it. Two, if you can jack off to that, you should be on a fucking list. If you're calling this porn, that tells me a lot more about you than it does about anybody reading this book.
But maybe you can only do that if Senator Kennedy's reading it.
Oh, Jeff, where did that come from?
That made my penis commit suicide.
I want the audio version now of that.
Wait. There's AI technology, you guys. We can make this happen.
I don't think we need AI technology thanks to that clip.
Yeah, well, I think we might still need the I part. I'm not seeing too much of the I.
As parents are quick to hop on the latest bandwagon in terms of dictating what their children learn and where, their children are all too happy to clap back, as this TikTok shows us.
Why is this school so persistent on telling girls to cover up when really guys should just keep it in their pants? This school is so headstrong on telling girls to cover up their shoulders or, stomach when those things are all pretty natural. I've talked to many girls in this school. If two girls come to school wearing the same top, one girl has smaller cup size.
Okay.
The other one has bigger cup size.
Okay.
I've heard more girls with the bigger cup size get dress coded more than the smaller ones.
Okay.
It's completely sexist and biased and not okay.
Mad props to her for clapping back at some of these people.
Absolutely. I get really tired of when lectures come in about how to prevent rape. How many more times is it directed to women? Don't do this. Don't have an extra drink. Don't go to here. Don't wear this. Don't do this. And I've seen a meme before where it comes up and says, here's the easiest way to solve rape. Men, don't rape anyone.
And who's making these decisions? It's all these pervy old white guys judging what a 16-year-old's wearing.
I had a group of middle school girls before who they were upset about a dress code that the principal of that school was trying to enforce, and the dress code the principal was enforcing was not consistent with what the student handbook laid out. The student handbook is pretty vague. It's just like it can't be distracting or dangerous or promote something illegal or hateful. So it can't have swastika or alcohol or both. But there's nothing against spaghetti straps and short shorts, and that's what this principal was trying to enforce in the school where it was not consistent with the dress code. And so the girls wanted me to sign a petition about it, and I was like, oh well, hey, hold on, what am I agreeing to by signing? And they were like, I'll walk out. And I was like, okay, well, I can't quite walk out, and because I'm a Maryland teacher, we don't have a right to strike. You do your thing though, but I do. Have you tried talking to them about it? Maybe you could just try first, just see if they're in a good mood.
And plus, you've gotten into a sling with administration before, and you're really not looking to do that. 2 years.
Oh, this was before my sling. Actually, it might have been the beginning of my sling. But okay, but really, because of this talk I had with these kids, the administration knew the walkout was coming instead of it just being sprung on them. It wasn't my idea. They told me they were going to do it, and I was like, well, looking at the handbook, it looks like you're right about the dress code. It's not consistent. Like I can read that and see that you're right about that. And you do have a right to organize. As a person, I'm suggesting that you talk to them first, because I think it'll go better for you if you like go in soft and you try to reason with them first. Then if they don't meet your demands, it says right here, you have this right to do this. I'm not going to stand in your way. And then I even told them, I was like, and also you can take that thing I just said and you can say, get out of here. I'm going to walk out right now. You have a right to do that. That's just my human to human advice. And they did. They talked to the administrators, and what they reported back to me that they got told was an administrator said to them, let me put the reason for the dress code like this. You can't expect a bear and a salmon to work in the same office and for the bear to not be tempted to eat the salmon.
What?
So it's the salmon's fault.
The fact that he used a fish metaphor just makes it all the more creepy.
The fact that he quoted late comedian Patrice O'Neill.
Oh no.
So he's blaming
that was the quote.
So he's blaming the salmon for the bear's behavior.
Maybe we should do something about the bears. I don't know. Like,
or just pick a better comedian to quote.
Right.
Plenty others.
Yeah, like those moms in Indiana. This is just a bad quotes review.
1 star, don't recommend.
It would have been a lot more effective if that administrator had done what that dad did and just come to school in the outfit. That would have been the way to go.
Oh, Handmaiden's Tale outfit? Oh, I'm in favor of that. Yes. We can make this happen. In addition to working with patients and seeing that they're cared for, there's the dealing of red tape as well as the risks of burnout, and even worse with nurses. It's not just taking to the streets that medical professionals use as a method to bring to light the arduous nature of their work. Some even take to social media to vent their work-related stress and air their grievances. In this clip, we get an analysis of one nurse's coping technique during her shift.
This nurse has just lost a patient. Overwhelmed with emotion, she leans against the wall. Then she removes her mask and tries to shake it off. She still has 5 hours left in her shift. Her video is set to emotional music, and her camera is positioned to capture her movements perfectly. But today, the nurse finds herself under fire. Many people who've seen the video on social media are calling her self-promoting and the video cringeworthy. Now the debate is raging. Did she go too far? I had a lot of people die on my watch during the pandemic, and this type of performative garbage makes me furious, says one healthcare worker. Let me set up the camera so I can cry, goes another edgy remark. It seems to be part of a growing trend. TikTok is filled with healthcare workers posting their anguish after a patient dies. This nurse sits on the floor lamenting the death of her patient. This healthcare worker is in the hospital parking garage, overcome by grief. Some comments are supportive. I'm sure it's hard to lose a patient. Sometimes you just want to feel seen. At the height of the pandemic, America fell in love with hero healthcare workers and their videos showing how they stayed upbeat during such harrowing times. So did this nurse go too far? We asked medical ethicist Professor Michael Gusmano.
I don't think it rises to the level of being unethical. I thought it was probably mildly unprofessional and a little bit attention seeking. I just hope that the negative attention does not detract from the important work that nurses are doing.
I do see a bit of a double standard where we think it's cute when we see like soldiers, we see the military or the police do something like that. But when you see, for some reason, if it's nurses, that seems to be the sticking point. Where is it really bad if these types of things humanize them?
I think it kind of goes to nurses are. When I was first started as a nurse, I was taught you do not show emotion. You have to maintain calm and this facade at all times. You don't let anybody know you're stressed. So you learn to, the shit's hitting the fan, things are going on, and you don't show any emotion. You don't show any fear. Patient comes in, something's going on with them. You don't let them know that you are, because they need to know that you're in control and you know what's going on. But the problem is that it kind of helps to propagate that belief that everybody has that nurses aren't people. Something like this, she's not showing her patients, she's not showing, a board or anything, showing anything with the patients. She's showing that this is stressful for her. And one of the biggest problems for nurses is I've been, working, and you work really hard on, saving somebody's life, and, you lose that patient, and sometimes they're young people, sometimes they're babies, and you're expected to just go to your next patient. I mean, you just spent an hour trying to save, somebody's life. And it's like, okay, nope, they're dead. Okay, finish the paperwork for them. And now go take care of this one who's coming in. And you got to save that one's life. And you're not given usually a break to even process it or deal with it. And it's hard. And as a nurse, you end up losing a lot of patients. That's not something that's unusual. So she took a few minutes. She went out in the hallway, videotaping herself, whatever. But she's trying to show the world, hey, these things affect us too. We have feelings too. We're people too. But then once she finished that little TikTok video that she did, I'm sure she went back into her department and started trying to save somebody else's life or trying to help somebody else feel better.
So what you're saying is it's what, even if you find it distasteful, even if you find it self-promoting, it's getting her through the shift. It's getting her through the day. It's getting her through what she's dealing with. So how can that be a bad thing?
Well, the other part of it is that it is how, I mean, she was younger than you and I, Jeff and Lynn, right? So this is how that this generation and anybody on social media, this is how we share feelings. And every piece of social media is a little bit self-promoting. Every time we get on, we say or do a vid or post, it's the way it is, but that's okay. Like, I mean, you can't then start judging what, these things. She wasn't recording a stabbing or something. So I think she was sharing, and who knows, like if she had commentary after, but then she will go and maybe see supportive comments and they might help her get through. And often that's what people are doing. There's tons of videos out there of people, having a breakdown or crying or whatever their story is, right? And then when they read the comments that aren't hateful, they feel lifted in some way. And if that's what you need, take it. What, are you kidding? It's free. It's free support. Take it as much as you can.
It's difficult to tell where downward trends in culture begin, much like a pandemic. For example, was COVID-19 created in a lab, or was it because of me going to a witch doctor outside Wuhan, where we sacrificed a bat in an attempt to make myself more virile? An attempt which unfortunately didn't succeed. We may never know the answer to that question, just as we may never know which country is to blame for the pandemic of seizure-inducing entertainment. In this clip, the American-based Max Network, formerly HBO Max, gives us a promo for a sensationalized dating show that originated in Europe, a show called Naked Attraction.
Are you ready to play the game? Welcome to Naked Attraction, the dating show that likes to let it all hang out. Can picking a partner based solely on natural beauty help you find the one? Bring it on. When we're entirely unfiltered, what do men and women really find attractive? We are going to reveal them to you bit by bit. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready now for Mr. Right. Really can't wait to see you with the clothes on.
We like to start where a good date ends, naked. Do you want to see a little bit more?
To be fair, I've had some bad dates that have ended in nudity. I mean,
Me too.
Oh my gosh. Oh, that's cool.
I have watched that show.
I know. I need to see what that's about.
I've watched it. I can't do it.
Yeah.
No. Not good.
Yeah.
I mean,
agree
the
with
only
you.
way I would do it, like, it would have to be under the condition that they would pay me so much that I could just afford to stay home and never be seen in public again. Like, that's my only caveat.
But Jamie, do they show everything?
Yes.
Like there's no fuzzy camera down?
No.
No, because it's on HBO Max.
Oh, yeah.
And Gina, it's like 7 seasons in the UK of this.
Oh, so I can like stream?
Yeah, you can binge it too.
Oh, yes. This sounds mindless. Sign me up. Not to be on it, but I'll watch it. That's super cool. Yeah.
Plus what they do, and I don't want to sound like an expert after watching 2 episodes of it, but even if you've been eliminated because they don't like your ankles or they don't like something about you, you still have to walk out in your all together. To show them what
everything is made of.
Yeah, yes, they want to show what you're missing.
Wait, is the face ever shown or no?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yes.
Can you see the face before you reject?
No.
Oh, so it's
the last thing you see.
Somebody.
Yeah.
That's the
Once you've
that's
said
the
yes or
point.
no.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Technically, the personality is the last thing that you get to
Yeah,
find
right.
out.
Right.
That's painful. Ooh, I mean,
And I don't
before
know
one
that
date.
I would anybody that would go on that show that would be somebody that I would think would be quality marriage material. So
Right. And I mean, but anybody could go on a coffee. Like you know what I mean? Like you wouldn't have to marry them. It's not like that marriage at first sight thing or whatever that is. You know?
yeah,
I would
Married at First Sight. That's the show I watch.
I'm a 90-day girl. 90-day over here.
Not only do I watch it, I have a podcast about it.
Oh my God. I want to be on a podcast and talk about dumb shows.
Which I've been on. And on that note, that's our show. I want to thank Jeff Hyson, Gina Brown, Chip Jones, and Lucy Stressball.
Thank you.
Thank you.
But before we go, my final thought. Will the issues we discussed tonight be resolved on this podcast? No. However, at the rate things are going, we stand the best chance of coming up with the best solution for the Middle East, better than any of this planet's top diplomatic negotiators. But will we be able to solve the issues going on right now? The answer is simply this. I don't know. Why the fuck are you asking me? I'm the host of a podcast that's able to operate solely because of Patreon contributions and the fact that this podcast also serves as a tax write-off. Stop asking me. One way to help bring about peace would be to hold a benefit concert in the region. Put all that hope for a desired outcome right where it belongs and where it's needed. And I have the perfect entertainment for it. No, not Bono, not U2, not even the very capable cast of the many Live Aid and Farm Aid concerts over the years. Personally, I think we should send Ted Nugent to perform. And Jason Aldean will be his opener. Think about it. Send them to perform in the Middle East. At least their fans will be armed. Will something as simple as that solve the crisis in the Middle East? Probably not. But one thing is for sure. Ted Nugent and Jason Aldean will be out of this country, and that, in my mind, is contentment, and even, albeit temporary, peace.
Yay.
Good night. This episode was written and hosted by Tom Myers with panelists Jeff Hyson, Gina Brown, Light Kitty, Michelle Wojciechowski, Chip Jones, Lucy Strasball, David Kay, Jess Feeney, Alexa Shudo, Lynn Dilmani, and Jamie Black. Theme music composed and arranged by Jeroen Vandenhurk. Executive producers Tom Myers, Matt Connarton for ipmNation, and Eddie Carson for Odyssey Radio. Please leave a 5-star rating and a positive review on Apple Podcasts, and don't forget to subscribe to our podcast's Patreon for ad-free episodes, early access to episodes, extended episodes, bonus clips, and more. Thank you for listening, and please visit tommyers.us.